Hello, and thanks for joining me on another episode of Simply Saturday. Simply Saturday is a chance for me to show you a card that is easy and quick to make. And today, we are going to be using a card that has no punching and no die cutting. So this is very quick. You also can use any colors that you want. I suggest choosing 3 colors plus black. So I'm going to be using Soft Succulent, Evening Evergreen, and Fresh Freesia. These are 3 of the current in colors that will be remaining in the rotation in the upcoming annual catalog, the 2022 to 2023. So I have started with a folded card base. Now this is basic white thick. And the reason I like to use thick if I'm doing a white card base is it just stands up a little bit better since the weight is a little bit thicker. You could use the regular weight basic white cardstock if that's what you have on hand. Then I have a piece of the regular weight basic white cardstock. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. This is what we'll be doing our stamping on. Also, if you don't want to make the card in the design that I'm doing today, which is like a panel on top of the card base, you could do the whole thing on just the card base. And when I get to the point of wrapping my ribbon, instead of doing that, you would just add a ribbon bow and attach it to the card front. So that's another alternative that you could do to make this card one step simpler. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp on this white panel. And I'm going to use my 3 colors. I'm going to start with the lightest color first. This is Fresh Freesia. And the stamps that I'm using actually were a celebration set of stamps, but you could use any set of stamps that basically has a shape. So you could use a circle or a triangle or a rectangle, a square, anything that is basically just a stamped shape. So I'm going to use the circle. And using our rule of 3s, which I know there's occasions that we break that, but we're going to start with 3 circles of Fresh Freesia. I am using my Stampin' Pierce mat to give it a little bit of cushion since I'm using a photopolymer stamp, which has no cushion of its own. And it's a rather big, bold stamp. So I do want to put this little cushion. I also have a piece of scratch paper here because I'm stamping off of the edge and I just prefer to not get ink on my Stampin' Pierce mat. If you don't have a Stampin' Pierce mat, you can create your own little squishy space by just stacking up several pieces of like copy paper or even a piece of cardboard, just something that allows a little bit of give underneath your paper. All right, and I'm going to do a 3rd one here and then change colors. So I'll go to Soft Succulent next. And I'm going to also do 3 of these. So I'll come in here. Like so. Then we'll switch to Evening Evergreen. As I'm going along, this is these shapes that you're stamping are pretty random. As I'm looking at mine, I am not so sure that I'm happy with this empty space right here. I kind of wish I had brought this one down a little bit, but we're going to keep going because we have another stamp that we're going to use after the circle that I think is going to correct any issue that may have caused. Actually, I may just put my dark green. Okay, so I'm using Evening Evergreen. I am going to go ahead and drop that in here. I still don't think that would have been a problem had that been left blank. because we're going to stamp some words on here. Okay, so at this point, I have my 3 colors that have each been stamped 3 times. And at that point, you can decide if you feel like there's a little white space where you wish that there wasn't. Like I said, that rule of 3 can sometimes be broken. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of Evening Evergreen up here for a 4th stamp. And I'm actually going to do a 5th one over here. So I'm still doing odd numbers, which is a good thing. All right, so there's our background. Next, I am going to add some words on here. The words that I've chosen come from this stamp set called Biggest Wish that I've used quite a bit this year. This is also going to be in the new annual catalog. This is a carryover item. And so I'm going to use the happy in the script and the birthday in the block letters. So first of all, with happy and a black ink pad, I'm going to, again, stamp randomly. And this is where you can kind of get in those white spaces that maybe are bothering you if you have any. I do want to make sure that I stamp some of these words off of the paper. Your project will look more complete if you don't have everything lined up within the borders of the edges of your paper. So do take the opportunity to stamp off the edges. I am even going to come in here. Let's see. Well, since I know where we're headed, it doesn't need it. Okay, and let's put happy here. I think I'm going to leave it at that point. You could come in one more time here or up here, but this is really plenty. Okay, I'm going to set that piece aside just for a moment. And I'm bringing in just a white scrap of cardstock. This piece is 1.5 by 2.5. I'm going to stamp the birthday word. This is in the block letters like I showed you from the Biggest Wish stamp set. You do need to make sure you get enough ink on these big, bold stamps. So I am walking it around different areas of my pad. And I'm going to aim for center. And again, with my little cushion underneath there, that'll ensure a better and crisper image. Giving the ink a chance to soak a little bit into the cardstock since it is a very big, bold stamp. All right, so there's our birthday. I have a scrap of Soft Succulent here that's cut just a little bit larger than this. So this is 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. Just a little liquid glue on there, and I will attach that onto its little, now it has like a little frame. All right, we're going to put our card together and finish this up. The first thing that I'm going to do is wrap a little bit of ribbon around this card panel. I've got a piece of Evening Evergreen here, and I'll show you a little trick. This will help save ribbon. So instead of wrapping the ribbon all the way around the card, which would take quite a bit more, I am just going to tack this down with a piece of tear and tape. I'm going to stretch it across the front of the card right where I want it to go and pull it to the back. Now I had already cut this scrap of ribbon, so I'm still going to end up with a little extra. What I like to do normally is just keep it on the roll because you can stretch it and put it right where you want it and cut it off the roll, and then I would have even salvaged these little this little 1.5 or 2 inches. But this will work just fine. And I'll take my tear and tape and tack that down as well. Now in this instance, There's no reason to pull the backing off the tear and tape because it really doesn't have a purpose. It's just holding our ribbon onto the front like so. All right, then I'm going to take birthday and put a few dimensionals onto the back of that. You could use 4 in the corners if you want. I am just going to use 2. It's going to hold it just fine. And then this is going to kind of straddle that ribbon. And you can place it really wherever you want. Depending on where your happies are, you might want to place it someplace different. I'm going to go ahead and place it here. I have at least 2 full happy words, and then you can see the others. So the message gets its point across. Okay. Now, another thing that I think I'll do on this one is use this little scrap of fresh freesia. I'm just going to tuck it under my ribbon and make a knot, just to add a little pop of that color. And with a knot like this, you can slide it up or down depending on where you want to have it. And now we're going to put our card panel onto the base. Again, this is your choice. You could just use regular adhesive to lay this down and attach it, or I think I'm going to go ahead and use a few more dimensionals. So this time I will do the corners. You could put 2 here. I think I will. It's kind of a long length, so I don't want it to get saggy in the middle. And then we'll just attach that to the card base. So once again, with whatever colors you have, I recommend 3 that coordinate well, plus black. And you can create a simple, attractive, in this case, birthday card. This could certainly be thank you or whatever you want, depending on the words that you chose. Here's another one done in a different color scheme. This is Mango Melody, Melon Mambo, and Bermuda Bay. And instead of 2 ribbons, I used ribbon and a little bit of the white baker's twine. So that wraps it up for today's Simply Saturday. You can always find me here on my YouTube channel, Stamp with Julie Baum, and you can find me at my website as well, stampwithjuliebaum.com. If you enjoyed this card tutorial, please do subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it so much. And if there's any products that you would like to order, I invite you to visit my website, stampwithjuliebaum.com. Click Shop Now, and you'll be redirected right to my online store where you can place your order. Thanks for watching. See you next time.